recording. So the first things first, before we actually get into any breaking down, the stuff has arrived for the next giveaway. And like I mentioned in my Discord, if you aren't already in there are a couple links down below you can click on to get there. But the second place winner of the previous giveaway for Terunofuji fan towel is deciding to pay it forward, and we will be getting the Terunofuji fan towel for the grand prize winner for this next giveaway at the Nagoya Basho in September. As well, we have the Ichinojo fan towel. It's mirrored, so it's going to look a little weird, or at least my camera is mirrored is what I'm trying to say. We also have Ichinojo Tegata. So we will be giving away this massive handprint of Ichinojo's. Like, you know what? His hand isn't too much bigger than mine. You know, he may be a big dude, but that hand, not that much bigger. But yeah, we have the stuff for the next giveaway already. We have the Banzukes as well, and we will be having all 3 winners, and that will be happening during the Nagoya Basho every day. Redeeming a raffle ticket on my Twitch channel. The YouTube side will not be having that giveaway. So if you want a chance at winning that, if you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to tune in to twitch.tv/LeoDickinsonVT for your chance to win some Ichinojo merchandise during that next Basho. So we are getting into analyzing and breaking down the battle hamster Takakeisho as demanded by the Twitter poll I ran earlier today. So, the options were between Takakeisho or Terunofuji, which we seem to get Terunofuji in that Yusho race every single tournament, so it seems like people want to get a good eye on the Ozeki instead, as we accelerate towards his match. Alright. Thought he'd have a bear claw hand. Well, I mean, I'm not going to say I have big hands. I've seen people with much bigger hands. Let's see. The first match is going to be Takakeisho versus Kiribayama. And we got to do Shodai next week. I mean, if there's popular demand for it, we can. But thankfully, the Takakeisho breakdowns probably shouldn't be that long, because it's either he gets grabbed and he loses, or he doesn't get grabbed and he wins. So you would think that with such a one-dimensional style that there isn't really going to be that much to say about what he can do. It's just going to be like, oh, he won off the Tachi, he got the big push and he won, you pushed him out. But there is a lot more to it than just having the stronger push. And I know that for a lot of the breakdowns I've done, sometimes I do say he just won off the Tachi. He just had the better angle, he just had the better push, he had the elbows in or the arms up, and he hit him in such a way that there was no recovery, and he just won. And that will happen a lot of the time. That will happen. And that's not to say that that's all Takakeisho does in any of his matches. He does a lot of work, and there's, you know, he wouldn't have had a couple of Yusho under his own belt, and you know, this June Yusho, this tournament as well. So, you know, coming into this match and coming into this tournament, just the lead up to it was 2 of the 3 Ozeki are Kadoban. Takakeisho is the only non-Kadoban Ozeki, and even then, he's still quite inconsistent in his own right. So coming into this match, Kiribayama versus Takakeisho. Kiribayama has been impressing, but he hasn't been consistently winning. So here we're saying, okay, if Kiribayama can start consistently winning, he can be, you know, Sanyaku class Ozeki material. Of course, he has to beat the Ozeki if he wants to do that. So we'll get into this match. Like I usually do, I will break it down first at full speed, and then we will go step by step into how they do it. Firstly, okay, next frame is the E button. Got it. I just wanted to remember that for future reference, so we can do frame by frame breakdown analysis. Let's see, Takakeisho versus Kiribayama. Kiribayama down and ready first. Takakeisho getting pushed back off the charge, and Takakeisho isn't having the stronger push. Tries to slap Kiribayama to the side, but Kiribayama gets up underneath, wraps the arms around the back for the bear hug and the Yorikiri. So we have to ask, what went wrong for Takakeisho here in this first match? And it's like I kind of said in the full speed, he didn't blast Kiribayama like back up off his feet like he usually does to these guys who are generally smaller than he is. So what happens here off the Tachi is that Kiribayama gets this really strong left foot forward and plants himself back. So now he is not getting pushed back. There is a lot of friction that is keeping him from being moved backwards, and he's getting these hands up to the face. For reference in the rest of this video, blue is the opponent and yellow is going to be Takakeisho. So we see Takakeisho is trying to get this elbow and arm in and up, but he's being met perfectly by Kiribayama, who's going to, stand back up. And as we see in this recharge, Kiribayama gets turned a bit here. You would think that this is a favorable opportunity for Takakeisho to be able to just attack the side, get him up off balance, and get him out of the ring pretty easily. But Kiribayama, even though he's got his feet in this weird stance, he twists those shoulders to deflect the attack. He deflects the attack to the side, and now Takakeisho is the one who's at the bad angle here. So this is kind of a really sloppy, back and forth. This is very sloppy Oshizumo both ways, because now they're pushing at each other's arms instead of getting good thrusts to the face or to the chest. They're just kind of pushing and slap boxing each other right now. Takakeisho, you can see he attempted, I think that was another Nekodamashi where he claps in front and then tries to go low, which is, that's something we saw him try against Terunofuji and it didn't work. Trying it against another Mongolian here, not working. Gets that big slap to the side, so it was kind of quick, but if we do want to go back just a second, we're going to have to watch the match up to that point again, because there is no frame-by-frame backwards, only forwards in VLC to my knowledge. But we're about to see he's going to get this big left-hand club to the side of Kiribayama to turn him around. You see he misses, that's a clap there, and then boom, he pulls that arm up and around. He's going swinging low to try to pop Kiribayama up that way, but it doesn't work because Kiribayama, again, we look at this stance with his legs. This left leg very far forward, knee bent. That right leg, we can kind of see it here, back and bent in a way that his foot is gaining a lot of traction against the ground and is gaining all that friction so he doesn't get moved. Murgle, we just started stream. Read the room, please. Kiribayama gets the grip on the belt, grabs the belt, and from here, usually grabbing the belt is the death sentence for Takakeisho. But Takakeisho does try to, get up under the arms. At this point, though, it's too late because Takakeisho, he doesn't really have that pushing up power. It's pushing away power. And well, Kiribayama, he's very good at the Yotsuzumo. There really isn't much else to say here. After getting the grip on the belt, it is simply all over for that Ozeki, who does fight back a little bit at the edge here. But again, Kiribayama, left foot down, just nothing doing for Takakeisho on that counterattack there. So coming back to, the middle of this match, seeing how it turns around so quickly in Kiribayama's favor after, again, right there, that slap in the air, not doing anything. Big club from Takakeisho to bring Kiribayama down. And the slap down attempt not working. He hits the back of the head, but Kiribayama, again, just those really strong legs. Really strong legs right there. And that's something I've said for a lot of other sumo wrestlers. When you have your feet underneath you, you're much harder to move, obviously. And, putting those feet forward in front of you as you're moving forward keeps your center of gravity, rolling. And that's kind of what happened here. He was smacked down, but these feet and legs underneath him just kind of bounces him back up because he has nowhere to go. So from here, he gets deep inside, standing back up because Takakeisho couldn't push him away. He was too busy pushing him down and couldn't push him away. So that's where Kiribayama gets underneath the arms, and all he has to do is drive it forward. Kiribayama with the win. Takakeisho, not a strong showing in this first day. And of course, knee-jerk reactions galore. Oh my god, the Ozekis all suck. We're gonna get a no Ozeki tournament. Oh my god. But you know, it's just day one. It was a little rough for Takakeisho, who it looks like we skipped ahead of his match here. It wasn't bad sumo from Takakeisho. It was just better sumo from Kiribayama there. And like I said, Kiribayama is very strong in his own right. He resisted all of those attacks. He resisted all of those pushes and thrusts. And it's basically a kind of survive the onslaught until he grabs the belt and wins. And that's kind of how you have to play against Takakeisho. Takakeisho is, I want to call him a glass cannon in the sense that, you know, he has a lot of amazing offense and in so little defense that he can't really do much defensively in the first place. Excuse me. So after that, Takakeisho going up against Hoshoryu the Komusubi, a much bigger fan favorite, at least in Western audiences' eyes. Hoshoryu has only defeated Takakeisho once. So how does Hoshoryu plan on tackling this time? Takakeisho getting up into the neck, keeping Hoshoryu away from the belt on the pullback, and truthfully, that looked like more of a slip from Hoshoryu than it was a pull or anything else from Takakeisho. So we can see this again at full speed. Push up, pretty good start for Hoshoryu, but then just watch that back leg just slips out from underneath him. And we can point it out again when we go into a slower motion. I'm pretty sure there was a way to like speed it down to like 0.5 speed. Let me see if there is. No, it's like actual video playback. And it doesn't look like there's anything I can do with the playback. Oh, slower, yeah. Yeah, so we see hand straight up to the face. Right here, just watch this back foot from Hoshoryu. Just watch right back there. This is going to go, like, he's going to hop this foot back and then slip. So, truthfully, with something like this happening, there isn't too much else to really analyze because it's just a slip and a loss. But at the very least, what we can do is break down how we get to that point in the first place. So this is a little bit of slow motion here. And it's going to start the same way as it kind of did with Takakeisho Kiribayama, except this time, Takakeisho actually gets good hands to the face. And standing up your opponent like this, getting them off balance, even if it is just a little bit, this is strong. Because we can see Hoshoryu, this big step forward with this foot and trying to have that foot back like Kiribayama did yesterday. He's kind of getting punished for it because he couldn't catch these arms of Takakeisho before Takakeisho hit him in the face. So now Hoshoryu is most literally on the back foot here. After letting go of the face, Hoshoryu is still stood much more straight up, so this would allow Takakeisho to get more leverage up underneath and keep propping him up so he stays more easily put off balance. But from here, we're going to get a lot of that artifacting. Hoshoryu actually tucks down really low to try to defend against this. So we see he was just like standing up this high, then he dips that head down all the way down here, lowers the back, and tries to make himself into more of a spear against this attack from Takakeisho. And this is something that we did notice about Takakeisho, was he's going less all-out attack than he usually does. And it's probably to preserve his body because he has injured himself multiple times doing that. But he was not as like full-on headlong charging as he usually is. So this is a slightly less aggressive but more adaptive style for him, where now we're going to watch him transition into this next move where he just kind of pulls back instead of trying to, you know, constantly just bang his head against a wall pushing forward. So here he keeps Hoshoryu away from the belt. Right here, Hoshoryu tries to twist around so he can get to the side of Takakeisho here, but Takakeisho leaps backwards. Like, you saw that little bunny hop. His foot was over here, hopping back here. His back foot has as of yet to land, but when it does, he's got that wide surface area, so there's going to be more friction pushing against him. He has a pretty good stance here, and we can't really see what's happening with these arms from this angle, but he's got good defensive posture here. It's just right here in that moment, Hoshoryu slips that foot backwards and lands right on his hand. So, like, what could have happened after this moment if Hoshoryu kept his footing? Well, they probably would have still kept on fighting, and Hoshoryu might have fought long enough to tire out Takakeisho, grab the belt, and push forward. But, instead, Hoshoryu does indeed slip backwards, and Takakeisho earns the victory. It's not a very feel-good victory, but it is one nonetheless. And here we can see, again, Takakeisho does get the win, but it's something that, personally, I would be worried about because he doesn't have that same speed off the Tachiai. He doesn't have the same power. And whether or not, because they don't tell us shit, We don't know if it's because he's trying to preserve his body so he doesn't hurt himself constantly. We don't know if it's to, prevent more CTE happening from headbutting his opponents. But whatever is happening here in these first two matches, we kind of see Takakeisho is of having more gingerly attacks. He is more slow to the attacks. It's still the same attack. It's just like, it looks like he's moving through water. It looks like he's moving in slow motion compared to what he used to do. So going into day 3, it's still like, okay, the Ozeki, all of the Ozeki have lost. Is Takakeisho really going to be the only Ozeki that is still standing? Like, what kind of world are we living in? This clown world, Let's see, this is Abi Mitaki Umi. This is Ura Wakataka, so we push forward into that's Takakeisho Kotonowaka. So here, Takakeisho, we have Kotonowaka, who I am a huge fan of, and at the previous tournament even, Kotonowaka defeated Takakeisho. I forgot it's still moving at slow motion. Hold on. I wonder if there's a hotkey for that. What's up, Safari? But yeah, this was a more hyped up match because it's at this point Kotonowaka had defeated the other two Ozeki, if I remember correctly. And coming into this match, it was can he beat all 3 Ozeki again? Can he do it? But we're quickly going to see that it is not meant to be, and that Takakeisho does earn this victory. And we will break down how. Oops. Skipped a little too far forward. Octo moves. Great push forward, and even though he doesn't like getting gripped, he keeps Kotonowaka in front of him centered and not going for his usual charges, just pushes him out. I would call it like a battering ram, but it was more of just like one centered force, like just a train pushing forward, because a battering ram, it pushes and punches against the wall a couple of times before it breaks through. This was just like an offensive lineman pushing through the defensive lineman on a rush up the middle or something. Like, just watch the hands from Takakeisho here. They go straight up into the chest of Kotonowaka, and Takakeisho keeping that head down, a little dangerous because, like I said, he is going a bit slower to maybe prevent injury, but we're not going to keep speculating. What we can do is see hands up into the chest of Kotonowaka and into this like part of the rib cage here, where we're going to see it in just another second. He actually catches Kotonowaka's arms. Kotonowaka can't move these arms and he can't defend himself. They're kind of caught here between the head and the bicep or the elbow of Takakeisho here. So that's preventing this defense from happening. Not to mention the fact that Kotonowaka, he didn't have that, big, stable left or right foot forward and that 1 foot far back to try to catch this, like, taking position. He stands up at the Tachi-ai, kind of like Hokuseiho does, and, you know, would probably try to rely on gripping the belt defensively and trying to go from there. But here we just see Takakeisho pushing forward. Like, he does kind of lose it up here on this left arm. You can see it going high and wild, but he keeps it chest to chest, and in this, he keeps Kotonowaka away from the belt. He's kind of using that forearm, too, to club the head of Kotonowaka, and it was kind of at the same time. He clubs the head and pushes away, because Kotonowaka brought that arm up, so his only option was to use that arm offensively and continue pushing him away. And now, because Kotonowaka is pushed away, Takakeisho can go for a recharge, and those recharges are quite scary because now Kotonowaka, much taller, is going to get propped up yet again. He doesn't have a grip on the belt. He has nothing defensively going for him, and we can even see hand to the chest, pushing him back, keeping the distance. And even though Takakeisho's stance is, it's standard, it's not anything too impressive, we're going to see him bring these feet forward and drive forward. So from here, we see him center himself against Kotonowaka, who is now, a little skewed, like I usually mention in these sumo wrestling breakdowns. Hips, shoulders, feet all square and facing the attack. Kotonowaka, his stance off to this, like facing that way, his hips kind of facing this way, and his shoulders are a bit askew as well. So he is not all squared up and ready for this attack. He is about to be bowled through because he is not completely on balance. Whereas Takakeisho is completely square and ready to attack. So he gets the big slap to the face as well, which throws Kotonowaka even more off balance. Like, he was standing up head over here, like, hello, look at me. And then, bam, Chono slap, flying all the way over here. And I mean, if that's the 1 second we saw of this match, I'd say, whew, yeah, Takakeisho wins, because how do you recover from being thrown off balance so hard by a stunner like that? And from there, he just pushes him out. Like, that was an incredibly good slap. I am interested in how he does in Aki as well. Kotonowaka has been holding his own at the top here, but this time it looked like he was just caught off guard by Takakeisho, who, in his own right, Takakeisho, just a strong push forward, and that slap sealed the deal. Like, Takakeisho was already in a fantastic winning position. Like, again, that push forward, locking in that left arm from doing anything from Kotonowaka. Kotonowaka gonna bring up the right to try to, deflect Takakeisho here, but Takakeisho just takes it in stride. Bam! That big slap to the face throws Kotonowaka even further off balance. And like I said, you look at those feet of Kotonowaka are in horrible position. He needs his left foot to be over here already so he can try to fight back defensively, but he's just getting, this entire match was just dictated by Takakeisho, who pushes forward and gets the win. So now we're seeing, okay, Takakeisho, he's 2-1, not ideal for the Ozeki class, but excuse me, not ideal for the Ozekis, but it is something. Let's see. Takakeisho versus Dai. Oh, that's Takanosho. Whoopsies. Let's see. Takayumi. Here we go. Takakeisho versus Ichinojo. So, this is going to be the next match that Takakeisho loses. And, okay, he lost to the Yusho winner. You can't really fault him there. But we can, we broke this down from Ichinojo's perspective just a few videos ago, just a few streams ago. So, let's see from Takakeisho's perspective what really happens here. What's up, Watchmaker, eh? It wasn't a compression fracture in his... So Takakeisho, this is a classic Yotsu versus Oshi match. If Ichinojo grabs the belt, Takakeisho loses. But if Takakeisho can, just push him forward, then Takakeisho wins. And also notable is not the previous time they fought, but in a match, I think it was 10 months ago? 8 months ago? It was within the past year. Takakeisho actually injured himself. It was a neck injury after charging headlong into Ichinojo, who just kind of caught him. And then Takakeisho, knowing he was hurt, walked backwards out of the ring. So, that could be why Takakeisho has adapted his style in the way I've described, where he's not so recklessly charging headlong. Because, just another aside here, when I first started watching sumo, of course, one of the first matches you see is going to be Takakeisho versus Takeyumi. They've both been at the top of the Banzuke for years now. And it was an incredibly violent fight where they were both just basically headbutting each other over and over again for 15 seconds. And I'm like, that is sumo wrestling? What the fuck? And, since then, Takakeisho really has dialed it down. Like, he still does lean forward, head down, forehead to the chest, but it's nothing like that. It's nothing like Hokutofuji style, you know what I mean? So, getting into this match, we have to ask, will Takakeisho be able to push back Ichinojo with this more careful style, or will Ichinojo simply grab the belt and walk it back? Here we see Ichinojo gets the slap to the side of the head, and because of that, he grabs the belt. And right, this is the match where Takakeisho infamously grabs his top knot, which someone in my YouTube comments still insisted that Ichinojo did indeed grab the hair. But right here we can see, just fast again, Takakeisho did create some separation there, but he was really caught off guard by that slap to the back of the head. Like, up until that, this was exactly like yesterday against Kotonowaka, where he got those hands deep inside, pushing strong against the chest, but, Ichinojo is a much bigger man. Ichinojo is going to be much harder to push. Ichinojo is also much more experienced. So, from here, Takakeisho, it's not bad. At this moment, at this freeze frame, it's not bad for him. He has separation with those arms. Ichinojo is quite far away. Like, we see classic windmill moves are going to start coming in where, he stands and recharges and just keeps pushing forward at that chest. But here, bam! Right to the back of the head. That slap throws Takakeisho off balance. And even though he was, squared, again, going back to that stance, the feet a little bit skewed, the hips mostly even, but with this slap to the head, the shoulders are way off and he is no longer, in very good balance here. And that is going to allow Ichinojo to do that slap and then whoop, right to the back of the belt. And from there, Takakeisho simply has no defense. Like I said earlier, glass cannon Takakeisho can't really do much against having his belt grabbed. You can kind of even see, too, the force of that slap hopped him forward a little bit. Like, he actually hopped forward because of that smack to the back of the head. Here, watch it, boom. And from there, Takakeisho just can't do anything. Let's be real. He is not a Yotsuzumo wrestler. He can't do anything. And we're not going to mention the fact that he tried to get that Gyoji verdict the other way by grabbing his own top knot. People were very upset about this. And I do agree that it is lacking in decorum for someone who is supposed to be representative of the sport. But I do feel like it was an overwhelming reaction to something so small. At first, I thought he was just readjusting his top knot because, you see some of these guys, the top knot is hanging off the side of their head. It's dude, fix yourself. So I thought he was just readjusting his top knot to, be more comfortable, but it was, after grabbing it a second time, interpreted as, hey, check it, he pulled my hair, and, obviously, again, lacking decorum to imply that he did not lose fairly, because he did lose fairly, so I can agree with that. Watched Ichinojo's debut in the top division, and man, he had a hot start. Surprised it took him that long for his first Basho. And it's because he had a couple of injuries and because he was very, very heavy. He was much heavier then than he was now, even though he looks the same size, you know. But he was much heavier then than he was now, and he was also like not as fast as he is now. He again had a couple of injuries, so one injury I remember vividly was an elbow injury. Oh, that's the Yokozuna. He had an elbow injury that took him out and sent him all the way back down to Judo. And it was kind of a weird one too, because I think it was no, Takayasu was a different one. Ichinojo, it was a Yotsuzumo match in the middle of the ring. He falls over and just lands directly on his elbow. Nothing you could do about that. It's just, you know, instead of landing on your forearm or like just tucking and rolling, landed directly on the elbow, taken out for, you know, the next month all the way down to Judo, slow climb back up for him. But that's enough about Ichinojo. We're going to go back to talking about Takakeisho here in day 5. Hope he apologized to Ichi after that insinuation. It's possible that he did, or, you know, he might have had to apologize to the Sumo Kyokai itself or something. I don't know how those things go. So here coming into day 5, we, again, are kind of on the fence about Takakeisho's performance. He's 2-2. It's like, okay, is he going to go 9-6 again or 8-7 like Shodai? Because this early on in the tournament, you're only thinking about the people who are undefeated, really, when it comes to the Yusho race. But that is obviously a flaw when it comes to sumo, because we saw even at just the last tournament, Terunofuji was out of the Yusho race by like day 3, and then he goes and wins the Yusho, you know? So you can never count people out, and you should never, you know, count your eggs too early. But, you know, it's a day-by-day sport. We're allowed to be a little bit like, whoa, sensationalist with some things. So coming into this match, Takakeisho's 2-2. Is he gonna lose one more and bow out for some bogus injury because he's not Kadoban, so he can take a Basho off while everyone else suffers? But, you know, we're gonna see up here against Tamawashi that it is not nearly as doom and gloom as people say. Coming into this match, Tamawashi with that Iron Man streak. Once again, it is not going to be broken by his COVID absence, if you didn't already know that. He will be keeping his streak. But coming into this match in particular, 3-1. The Mata. I think Takakeisho didn't get both fists down, or, I mean, it was one or the other that didn't get both of their fists down, but the Mata comes out. Tamawashi didn't look ready for it, so it's called back, and looked like even after that initial slap to the chest, Takakeisho knew. Going back at it, Takakeisho getting the push to the head, and actually takes the step back to deflect Tamawashi's attack. So that is not usually something we see out of Takakeisho, which makes it all the more interesting. Takakeisho is usually the aggressor in all situations, or at least in most situations. But here, we actually see... That's a really good zoom in right there. Like, if you could just like freeze frame the face and the zoom in effect, that would be really funny. But what I'm saying here is that, you know, even Tachi-ai for both men, they're both arms distant apart. This is Oshizumo versus Oshizumo, classic stuff here. But here we see like the split second decision. Takakeisho sees Tamawashi dive low. Like his head was just up here. 2 frames it was here. He's gonna go low and try to charge forward, like Hokutofuji-esque style. But this is where Takakeisho takes that step back instead. Usually we would see him take the step forward and meet and, you know, push back. But this time we saw him swing this foot back, and he's going to use that left arm to, you know, just continue the momentum forward for Tamawashi here. He's using this right arm to kind of, you know, land itself and then guide Tamawashi away so he can just completely parry that attack. And you can even see he used that right hand to try to get a slap to the back of the head, a slap to the back, to go for the slap down immediately. But that didn't work immediately. So now, back turned to him. He sees the target on the back, pushes forward, and just one really smart, quick decision leads to the win. Just whoop! Total! Very, very good deflection right there. Very smart. And definitely not entirely characteristic of Takakeisho. Like, we've seen him take it much easier before. We've seen him be on the defensive before. But to immediately go on the defensive like that is, it's not usually what we see out of him. And a good, solid win there. It's not an amazing, impressive win, but it is a very smart win. They always tell you to work smarter, not harder. How does he move his head out of the way? What do you mean?
Versus Takakeisho. They go at it this time. Takakeisho deflects.
He just pulls his entire body back. This is what we refer to as character development. Very true.
Versus Takakeisho. They go at it this time.
Yeah. It looks like Tamawashi actually gets his whole ass head straight to Takakeisho, like straight to Takakeisho's ear too, and then just pulls back. Like, he takes that big step back. You saw him slide, cha-cha, real smooth. That was good defense from Takakeisho right there. Good deflection, very smart. As we head into this next match, which it already looks like we are. Oh wait, no, that's the replay.
Like 10 people live, half of them are streaming this.
Let's see.
Page hammer.
Takakeisho versus Uda on day 6. So at this point, again, Uda is 3-2. Takakeisho's 3-2. Uda is the fan favorite. People want him to win. People are still iffy about Takakeisho's performance. Like, oh, he's Rozeki. He should be undefeated. He's 3-2. But like I just said, he got a very smart win yesterday. He should have, in theory, a lot more strength and stamina in him because that last match was of a much lower effort, although, that's not exactly how it works. You wake up on the wrong side of the bed and your entire day is screwed, So, we have Takakeisho versus Uda. Uda, the weird technical man, versus the straight up, battle hamster, roll forward and win.
Thank you, Krolix. The struggling Ozeki class, or will it be?
So will it be the trickery of Uda, or will it be Takakeisho?
What am I getting?
And his consistency. And to answer that message in the chat, I got her a sewing machine. I think I said that the day of too.
Uda down and ready, far from the.
There we go. Takakeisho versus Uda.
Takakeisho going straight.
Takakeisho going for the usual Oshidashi and once again deflecting the attack to all of the Mitakeumi gasping in the chat.
Going straight forward, trying to get some slaps.
And it looks like a similar story to yesterday, where instead of trying to go for just all-out frontal assault, he just kind of starts the attack. It kind of starts it off like 50-50. He needs to be the one to initiate against Uda anyway, so you can see he takes the big step forward. He actually has his arms low so he can try to pop Uda up, because we can see Uda gets much lower than Takakeisho, and Takakeisho is not tall. I wouldn't call him short, but he's not tall either. But Uda trying to get low and trying to get up into the chest, and Takakeisho seeing that coming opts to try to pop him up instead. And that's exactly what happens here. So Takakeisho props him up, gets the hand up underneath the chin, and this is exactly where Takakeisho is comfortable. You can see him already pulling back for another thrust, and Uda can only try to fight back or try to create a little bit of distance for himself where he can try to get up underneath again. But from here, it's just another... From here, it's just another deflection into turn. Like, we can kind of see it here too. Uda is not on balance. His feet are in a line. Like, you never want your feet to be in a line like this. His hips are off, his shoulders are square, but because his feet are facing this way and his hips are facing this way, it is very, very easy for Takakeisho to just go, hey, go that way. And whoop, gets another slap to the face, turns him to the side, and I mean, there's just no coming back from something like this unless you're Hokutofuji and you're doing tippy toes on the Tawara. So, again, just another really smart win from Takakeisho. Again, work smarter, not harder. Recognize when your opponent makes a mistake and take advantage of it. Props up his opponent of his own strength from here. Gets that slap to the face, and it's all over. Just in this freeze frame, it's all over. He sees it. He knows it. It's all over.
To get some slaps to the chest, Uda gets turned to the side and pushed out from
and again,
behind.
not an exciting win, not an impressive win, but it is a smart win. A good win for Takakeisho as we head closer towards that midway point, and people might, start easing up on the Ozekis. This is the day where Takanosho went to Kyujo. Let's see. Ichinojo Shodai. And of course Shodai would win it. Itakayumi Hoshoryu. Hoshoryu gets the win. Takakeisho versus Abi. And this is a classic matchup. Oshizumo versus Oshizumo, but it is two different styles of Oshizumo. Takakeisho is more the body and the head, whereas Abi is more arms and legs in their Oshizumo. So the way each other one counters the other is obviously if Takakeisho gets the full charge on the chest, and Abi wins it if he can get straight to the neck and keep Takakeisho completely away from him, completely away from that chest. And that is the most dangerous thing. If Takakeisho can get low and inside Abi, Abi doesn't really have a defense for it, except maybe a pull attack, which doesn't usually work. So from here, let's see what happens.
Down and ready.
Guy in the Creeper Minecraft shirt. Takakeisho was very slow to the attack and just gets pulled out by Abi. I completely forgot about this match. That was silly looking. That was comedic.
Down and ready.
So I can try to, play devil's advocate here and justify this dip from Takakeisho, because I already see it in the chat. Tried faking him. I think what he tried to do here was exactly like I was saying. He needs to get low and into the chest before Abi can get to the throat. So his idea was try to feint, try to rise, and then, oh, nope, go under. And Abi does kind of fall for it here. We can already see this left hand misses its mark. The right hand does get to the shoulder. But from here, Takakeisho, he gets, like, this doesn't look like a bad spot for Takakeisho is the crazy thing. He has this big forearm straight to the stomach of Abi. Abi, however, uses that missed opportunity with that left hand to reach for and to try to grab the belt here, and that's exactly what does it. Abi, because of that weird start, is using the momentum Takakeisho built up against him to throw him to the side. So this is a lot of small parts moving very quickly. And I'll try to tell it from Abi's perspective because he's the winner. But here we see Abi. It's hard to tell if he knew that he was going to go for the belt here. It's very hard to tell. I kind of want to see this in slow motion. Because it could have been you know, like I was saying, it could have been he just audibled in that split second and grabbed the belt. Because even watching this in slow motion, yeah, you can see it. You can see it right there. Takakeisho, he rose up and dipped just in time for this arm to miss. He dipped perfectly under Abi's arm. But that was played against him because Abi, in missing, went straight for the belt. And that is Takakeisho's biggest weakness. So, like, Takakeisho made Abi miss, which was the objective. You don't want Abi to get to your shoulders like he does to Uda, or he does to pretty much anyone else who gets lower than him. So Takakeisho, knowing that, dipped underneath the arms, but that was also his undoing, because right now, Abi, because of that weird Tachi-ai and because all of that momentum going left into thin air, uses that to turn his body this way. So it's, yeah, it's kind of hard to explain with this view, but let's say, like, this is the top-down view of Abi. These are his arms, right? Because he missed this way, his body is pulling back this way, so he's using that momentum to keep swinging this way. You see what I'm doing? Like, you see what I'm trying to say here? I think I'm doing as best as I can here. Because when you miss like this, you turn. And because you turn, that's exactly what's happening here. His entire body is turning because of that initial miss with that left hand. And he's using that against Takakeisho here because now, like, insane reflexes. He gets his hand up behind Takakeisho's head and uses that for the pull. Gets the grip on the belt, uses the missed momentum on the push to get the pull, and Takakeisho, well, that was all according to plan for Takakeisho, and he got read like a book. That was insane how fast that was from Abi. That was crazy.
Going for a grip.
The dip under.
Jumping low and getting.
Yeah, like, there's really no two ways about it. That was according to plan for Takakeisho, I think. He got under the arm, but then he didn't expect to be pulled back. He probably expected Abi to stay square and try to push him off low, but he didn't expect Abi to pull back and away and go for the throw there. So that was really good win for Abi. Like, that was super quick thinking. Like, that was basically just instincts, probably. That was probably just instincts. Like, actually. Here we go, as we move into the next Takakeisho match. Let's see, where is he? Battle of the Sekiwake. Takakeisho versus Endo, who is 2-5. Basically, like, Abi slipped on a banana peel, sat in, yeah. Abi slipped on a banana peel, but then sat down in a perfect pretzel. I was like, yeah, I meant to do that. Alrighty, this next one though, Endo did eventually leave the tournament after already securing a losing record. Endo just looking really bad this tournament, and I'm not sure if it's due to his age, because I'd like to imagine that your age doesn't just creep up on you in the span of, you know, a month and a half. But Endo truly looked bad this tournament. Takakeisho going up against Endo after a few absences like Takanosho, his stablemate. Not that he would have fought Takanosho anyway, but let's see what happens here. Takakeisho getting lower, propping up Endo, who tries to grab the belt, but Endo only grabs the Sagari as Takakeisho pulls back for the slapdown. Another smart win for the Ozeki there, as he works out that left shoulder muscle. So, it's kind of as described here, where this is the Takakeisho special, right? Takakeisho special, any kind of Oshi sumo specialist. Goes low. Good square stance here. Pops up Endo. Endo can't really fight it off, and we're going to see him try to reach low for the belt, but every time he does, you can see he's like, he's trying to get a handful down here, like, But Takakeisho goes, no, mister. You're not grabbing that, and he only gets a handful of Sagari, which does keep Endo close and might get him an in. And you could see, using the Sagari, he pulls himself back in towards the belt, and Takakeisho is ready for it. He's completely stanced up. He's like a catcher who is not about to let you get to home base. Catches Endo completely, and that's probably not what Endo expected, because, again, usually Takakeisho would just pop him back up, pop him back up, pop him back up. And here, we can actually see Takakeisho using Endo's momentum against him. He's pulling back, and this is where Endo starts to stumble. And like I said in the Ichinojo video, we can see when you're leaning forward, you want to try to jump these feet in front of you so you can catch yourself and keep moving forward. But here, what's happening to Endo is he's stumbling forward. His legs are back here. His center of mass is somewhere like here. So he is leaning forward, he is tumbling forward, and he can't catch himself. And Takakeisho obliges, catches him. Endo thinks he has the in, but then another step back for a slap down. And that kind of thing at the end right there is 100% what I mean by the flow of battle, the pushing and the pulling. Because he could have kept pulling Endo down and letting him stumble, but instead he pushes back. And that push and pull constantly rocks you so off balance that you don't know what to expect next. So when Endo goes for the push, he expects a push back, but he gets pulled and falls flat on his face. Another smart win from Takakeisho here. Another one of these slower style wins. And thank you for the shout out for myself, the original one leg goalie. For those of you watching on my YouTube channel, you can tune in live every Saturday at around 10 p.m. Central Standard Time, 11 Eastern Standard Time, or 12 noon Japanese Standard Time. I'm not sure if it's daylight time or whatever. I don't know. But you know what I mean. Look it up on a clock. For those of you watching here in my Twitch chat, be sure to subscribe to all of my YouTube channels, most importantly my Sumo YouTube channel, which has 1,500 subscribers right now, trying to get to 1,600 as well as get enough watch hours to get monetized again. So thank you very much for watching on these social medias, and you can find links to my Twitter and Discord down below if you want to keep up with more of my schedule and, chit chat about random nonsense in my Discord. Need a sumo cult? Well, Cult of the Lamb art is being done by my fiance, so we could start a cult of sumo wrestlers. Let's see now. Coming into day 9. Takakeisho versus Wakamotoharu. Wakamotoharu, I think this is the day after he fought the Yokozuna, which was an overall incredible match, but ended very oddly. Of course, people still salty about it, but it is what it is, and that is what it is. So, Takakeisho, fresh off of a win against a weak Endo, coming up against a Wakamotoharu who really impressed. What do we think Wakamotoharu can do here? Honestly, Takakeisho and Wakamotoharu. Not too much. That was another incredibly fast match, just slap to the side and it's over. And something like that, again, it's hard to break it down because not too much happens. Takakeisho props up his opponent, as he usually does, and then when Wakamotoharu goes for the attack here, Takakeisho gets the big left hand slap to the back. This is something that he's done over and oh, that's the wrong color. That is something he's done over and over and over again, is wha-bam, right to the back. Wha-bam, with that big left hand. And it is most of the time that left hand that he uses as a club. And he beats Wakamotoharu right down with that big club of his. This was, I think, a more inexperience from Wakamotoharu, not knowing what to expect from the Ozeki. Because let me check the stats here. This was the second time these two fought each other. And it actually is a 1-to-1 head-to-head, interestingly enough. So here, I think it was Wakamotoharu simply being unprepared for, you know, this Takakeisho. Like, I don't really know how else to describe it. It is simply Takakeisho doing his own thing and doing it well. Like, again, it's not incredibly impressive, you know, kind of head down, doing his thing. He's just winning slowly over and over again. It's not flashy, it's not stylish, it's a club to the back. And I think it's because people don't expect Takakeisho to pull back as often as he does.
Probably on edge today. Takakeisho and Wakamotoharu.
Yeah, it's nothing too special. He doesn't get a pull, he just slaps Wakamotoharu on the back. And if Wakamotoharu doesn't fall right there, we can already see Takakeisho was ready to pursue him. Gives him a slap on the ass for his troubles as we move into day 10 for Takakeisho.
Phone number tonight.
Day 10, he goes up against Daieisho.
1, 2.
Kiribayama versus Abi. We have an Ozeki versus a Sekiwake. Oh, pardon me.
Here we go.
Here we go. So this is another classic Oshi versus Oshi matchup. Daieisho is similar to Abi, but he is more consistent than Abi because Abi goes up on his tippy toes and tries to rely on all of that leverage he's creating, which is very hit or miss. You know, he finishes 8 and 7 for a reason. Daieisho, on the other hand, you know, has a Yusho under his belt. He goes high, but he's not as aggressively high as Abi is. He's not up on his super upper tippy toes the entire way through. He, you know, does some of the windmills. He goes for the throat, that kind of thing. Takakeisho probably wants to approach this situation in a similar fashion, but he doesn't want to fall to that same pull move. So he just moves forward this time. Daieisho can't create any space for himself, and trying some theatrics at the edge, Daieisho simply gets run out of the ring. So, looking at this match, again, it's not incredibly impressive. It's Takakeisho just winning at the Tachi-ai, getting those hands low so he can pop up his opponent, because, you know, he always scoops up and then afterwards tries to go for the recharge to the chest, which, you know, 1-2 buckle my shoe, that's exactly what he's doing. He's the one stepping forward, which is the important thing too. It's much easier to continue moving forward than it is to stop yourself from moving backwards and then start pushing forward. You know, things in motion want to stay in motion. Things moving forward want to stay moving forward. And things moving backwards that want to move forwards have a very tough time of it. So getting the better initial push off the Tachi-ai gives him 90% of the advantage he needs in this match. And from here, it is simply matching Oshi with Oshi. We could see Daieisho going for that big windmill so he can go into some more strikes, kind of putting himself off balance with these shoulders and feet. Like this foot is barely on the ground over here. And Takakeisho simply ready for it, pushing forward with that forearm elbow combination, you know, just chopping to the chest like Ric Flair, boom, woo, you know, getting the distance he needs so he can keep pushing forward. And when Daieisho tries to push to the side here, Takakeisho's already ready for it. You can see he's sliding his foot this way and shoulder charges into Daieisho, which is, you know, again, something that is an adaptation from his usual style, because usually Takakeisho would keep pushing forward mindlessly until he tumbles forward and goes whee out of the ring. But this time he's more patient. He takes that step, he lets Daieisho make his move, slides this way, shoulder charges this way, and uses those forearms again to create the distance he needs. Now he is a bit off balance here, and that's where Daieisho thinks he can slip out the back this way. But Takakeisho, because he's not charging as hard forward, he doesn't need to step on the brakes as hard to stop himself and change directions. And, you know, you can see that with a lot of other sumo wrestlers, especially Aoyama, who when they charge forward, if you just step to the side, he stumbles and falls. But now Takakeisho is much more calculated with those charges. He is not going to let that kind of sidestep get around him. Classic Takakeisho would have absolutely fallen for this and stepped forward out of the ring. But this time, he hops it forward, and because he plants the feet at the same time, he can immediately shift direction. It's again, I make a lot of analogies to when I played football in high school, but that is something that was kind of taught to me in football, was to like plant your feet and move immediately. When you plant both of your feet at the same time, you can immediately make that snap decision to move somewhere else. Because when you're walking, again, you're staying in motion, or when you're like running, you're staying in that motion. But when you shuffle your feet, plant them, you can shift any which way you like really fast. Anyone else who's played some of these sports might know what I'm saying. To those of you who don't play these sports, I might sound like a crazy man, but it's kind of true. Like, again, if we want to go back here, we can see Takakeisho does a little hop, both feet land at the same time, and you can immediately switch direction. It's coming like right here. Boop.
Down the hands and getting behind Daieisho, running him through the gyoji.
7-3 for Takakeisho coming into day 11. And at this point, people are like, okay, he's not going to go Kadoban. I guess we won't have no Ozeki or whatever the hell they want to have happen. Next up, we have the incredible flying monkey Tobizaru, my favorite sumo wrestler, going up against Takakeisho here. And Tobizaru, flying a little too close to the sun, did fantastic this tournament, but unfortunately, you know, had to take off the rest of the tournament due to COVID, so he only had 8 wins, which is a damn shame, considering he could have done much better, but it is what it is. We're not really talking about that. We're going to talk about how the flying monkey tries to combat the battle hamster. And truthfully, I don't remember how this match goes down. Pardon me, I need to drink too. And it's water, don't worry, because I work tomorrow morning. Takakeisho charging forward. Tobizaru tries to catch him. Takakeisho gets the better push forward, misses the slap with the left hand, tries to go for the slap down there. Still stays inside the ring, and Takakeisho, this is your longest match all tournament. Tobizaru stumbles backwards, stumbles forward. And once again, not an incredibly impressive win from our Ozeki, but it is a win nonetheless. And a few times during this match, I thought he was going to lose, even though I already know the result. But we can kind of see right off the Tachi-ai, it goes back to literally day 1 and 2. Tobizaru, big foot forward, big foot back, foot out, more friction, more leverage, and he stops the charge. Completely stopping the charge, just in the same way the Mongolians did in day 1 and 2. From here, Takakeisho is now the one being moved backwards. So Tobizaru going on the attack. We can see them just exchanging blows because Tobizaru, it's hard to explain his style. He is more of an all-arounder, but it's more because he tries to fight to counter his opponents. So his defined style is whatever beats your style, which is why I like him a lot. He always tries to go for what can beat the opponent, and that's why I really like him. So here we can see him trying to match Takakeisho. He, like I said, that day 1, that adaptation, takes that big foot forward, stops the charge. He's on the push forward now, and even then, he's not falling for Takakeisho's tricks. Takakeisho is slapping down these arms defensively because that is going to make... Oh, that's the wrong color again. He's slapping down these arms defensively because that will, you know, momentum downwards, stumble forward, and down into the ground. But Tobizaru is not falling for that. Takakeisho on the defense here does get the hands on the shoulders, but again, Tobizaru gets pushed back and a little comically far away gets pushed back, but because it doesn't really look like Takakeisho gave him much of a push there. But resetting from the middle of the ring, Takakeisho is the one moving forward, gets stopped up again, and we can see it again from Tobizaru. Big foot forward, foot back, completely perpendicular or parallel to the Tawada, perpendicular to the rest of his body, as to create the most friction with his foot, so he doesn't get pushed back anymore. And with that, Takakeisho gets stood up again. Takakeisho, he's been in this neighborhood before. He's walked around the block a couple of times. He recognizes where he is. He is in a more long and drawn out Oshi Sumo match, which he knows he needs to end soon, or he's going to run out of breath. Tobizaru's going to grab the belt and he's going to lose. So what does Takakeisho do to try to speed things up a bit? Gets a slap to the face. Slap to the face doesn't really do much to stun Tobizaru. Tobizaru still doing his thing where he's trying to probe forward for the attack before he can finally get that kill shot. Takakeisho deflects all of the attacks, goes for the slap down there, and on this, moving back slap down attempt, Tobizaru hops forward, like I mentioned in the Ichinojo video. He hops, like the foot was all the way back here in the middle of the ring, hops it all the way forward, gets the feet underneath him to catch himself, so this big meaty right arm on the back of the head does not push him down. All that resistance is pushing him back up, and now Takakeisho has nowhere to go but back around and out, or back and around to the center of the ring. So from here, Tobizaru couldn't really take advantage. Takakeisho already on the move back towards the middle of the ring. He's trying to stay at Tobizaru's side so Tobizaru can't square up against him, because that's the most important thing. Like, Tobizaru's everything is currently going to be moving that way, and right now is facing us, the audience. And that's what Takakeisho wants. He wants to stay away from that squared and centered Tobizaru so he can get a better attack. Right here, though, Tobizaru does bring that foot around back and then use that to push forward, which is, that's one way to do it. I would have preferred if he brought this foot forward, because that's more momentum coming forward. It's like I said earlier, when you're moving backwards, it's hard to move forward again. And because he moved this foot back instead of moving this foot forward, this recharge has nothing behind it. He just stopped moving back, and now he has to pull that momentum back forward, and Takakeisho doesn't need to do much to just catch this blow and meet him head to head. And now this is a more comfortable position for Takakeisho. He just needs to recharge, try to get inside, and push Tobizaru out of the ring. Which here, Tobizaru slowly lowers his head, tries to probe it back in. He's looking a little more like Uda here, and it sounds like I'm breaking down Tobizaru's match here, but he's the one doing more work here. Takakeisho is doing the smart work here. Takakeisho getting those hands to the shoulders, and this is kind of where Tobizaru needs to make the decision on whether or not to grab the belt, because if he can't, Takakeisho is just gonna create the distance, push him away, and even if he pulls himself back, he's gonna create that distance either way. But he goes for the push forward. Tobizaru goes for the pull here, which the pulling attack not really going to work, because Takakeisho is already in the process of walking this forward. And again, he's going to try to shoulder charge, seeing this pull coming. From there, again, even if Tobizaru caught himself here, Takakeisho catches himself. He jumped those feet forward underneath him so he can stop himself and immediately turn on a dime, which, look at Tobizaru. He's freaking dancing over here. Catches himself on the Tawada, and not too much you can do from this position. Up until this point, this match was incredible. This was a fantastic match. Tobizaru put in a lot of work to try to win this match, and this really does go to show how smart he is of a sumo wrestler. But Takakeisho just doing his thing for the most part. He was very smart in his defense. He was very smart in his attack. And I've said it multiple times this video. Work smarter, not harder. Tobizaru worked very hard for that win and didn't get it because Takakeisho was much smarter about how to approach the defense and the attack. And that is what makes him the Ozeki here. Day 12 coming into his match against Nishikigi, which I said this during the Ichinojo match, the Ichinojo video, where he was also on track to fight Nishikigi. We have to remember Nishikigi was in this race. He was 8-3, and this was not some throwaway free win for the Ozeki match. This was a guy who is legitimately competing for the cup, and whether it was because it was, you know, a flash in the pan bottled lightning, or whether it was for some other reasons, like half of the roster being taken out due to COVID and having nobody else to fight, we have to respect the fact that this was not a match that was, you know, given to an 8-8 Shodai on day 15, or a 7-7 Shodai on day 15 to make him not Kadoban. This was a match to determine who is going to stay in the Yusho race. And even though you might think Nishikigi is a weaker opponent, which I do think, and I do think Nishikigi overperformed in this Basho, you still have to respect this fact, because the Sumo Association doesn't exactly want to end up with another Hoshoryu situation where, shit, it's day 12 and he is 11-1 and hasn't fought anybody strong. And right here, it's day 12 and Nishikigi is now fighting the Ozeki. So, Nishikigi is usually someone that flies very under the radar for me, so I can't say I really pay attention to his style of sumo. So I don't really know how he's going to match up against Takakeisho.
Them actually seeing my content. Yeah, I want to scratch off.
So getting into this match, let's see what happens here. Takakeisho goes straight for the throat. Nishikigi at the edge, but manages to recover. Takakeisho going low and high and pushes Nishikigi out. So this looked really bad by Nishikigi. Watch his Tachi-ai. What Tachi-ai? He didn't do anything. Takakeisho just blasted forward, and Nishikigi just kind of like leaned forward, leaned into it. I'm not sure what his strategy was here, like trying to just catch the Ozeki, who wants to do exactly this. He's pushing forward, hand to the throat, full on offense. And maybe he thought, okay, the Ozeki has been taking it a little bit easier on his offense this tournament. Maybe I can get away with a slower start. Wrong. You got punished, idiot. Hand to the throat all the way back to the Tawada, and usually this is where it would end, but Nishikigi has this big left hand right by the shoulder of Takakeisho, so you can use that to push and escape this way, buy himself a little bit more time. Does get back to the center of the ring, and Takakeisho is now just still in full control. Nishikigi is trying to throw some elbows forward, some forearms, to try to defend himself, but Takakeisho is the one getting, again, he does that dive down into the push up, dive down into push up. And it's to like coil himself like a spring. When he pushes himself down, he's bending his knees, he's bending his body down, and he's getting ready for the attack, because then he's going to go bam. And, you know, this is the diagram. You see what I'm getting at here, but he gets low so he can explode upwards, and that's exactly what he does over and over again until Nishikigi just can't withstand the attacks. That was a more impressive win for Takakeisho there. I've been saying it all night, and it sounds rude the more I say it, but that was a more impressive win than a lot of his other ones. Coming into day 13, it is Ozeki versus Ozeki. Takakeisho versus Shodai. People want Shodai to play spoiler to Takakeisho and take him out of the race. I was one of those people. Takakeisho, however, is in that conversation.
A cute little cat.
Behind the Yokozuna, behind Ichinojo.
Takakeisho versus Shodai. Will Takakeisho stay in the race, or will Shodai continue his rampage?
So stylistically, usually Shodai, and he has been trying to adapt his style, but he still falls prey to it because it's the more comfortable thing to do, you know? He will get pushed all the way back to the edge and then try to push his opponent off to the side and out of the ring. Which, I mean, if it works, it works. It got him up to Ozeki and it got him a Yusho, but like, you gotta have a little bit more than that. So he has been going more aggressive on the push, and we don't know what Shodai is going to show up today here against Takakeisho. Takakeisho gets the better charge forward, goes on the pull, goes back on the push. Shodai could not withstand the push into the pull. And that's basic, just fighting logic. You pull, you push, you pull, you push them off balance. And right off the Tachi-ai, Takakeisho goes straight to the throat of Shodai. Shodai, like, you can see it in his face. You zoom in on that, and he's going like, uh-oh, I'm in danger. Getting pushed all the way back, and now, because Takakeisho got stopped up, this is where he goes, okay, now I'm going to pull back. And Shodai is going to push forward. This is where Takakeisho is then going to catch himself on the Tawada. So he does pull back. Kind of couldn't see that because of the artifacting, so we will play it back again. So pushes forward, pulls it back, slapping the arms to the side, and this is where it gets Shodai in a very bad position. Because we could see hips that way, shoulders that, all facing this way, but where's Takakeisho? Oh, he's behind you. He's creeping up on you like that picture of Seth Rollins. You know that meme. But Takakeisho is creeping up behind Shodai right here. Pulls him back so he can slap him to the side, slap him off balance. So now, like, even though he was on the retreat, he was in control the entire time. Pushes forward, again, hand straight to the throat of Shodai, pushing him all the way back to the edge, and Shodai didn't stand a chance. He was completely under the thumb of Takakeisho that entire match through. And that was a good win for Takakeisho. In control the entire match. Push, pull, push, win. Very solid stuff as we go into day 14, his double digits locked in.
But
Let's see. Takakeisho versus Sekiwake Wakatakakage. This day 14 was hilarious, by the way. Day 14 was incredible for the Yusho race, because the Yusho race at this point was Takakeisho, Ichinojo. Yeah, Takakeisho 1 win behind of Ichinojo and Terunofuji, who were tied. We come into the earlier match in the day. Ichinojo lost. So Ichinojo is now 11-3. Takakeisho needs the win to get up into that Yusho race. Wakatakakage, on the other hand, needs the win in order to get that Kachikoshi. And if he gets that 9th win, can maybe keep hopes of Ozeki alive if he gets like 14 at the next tournament.
Tad, you're reading way too much into it for no reason.
Alright, that's when the same day that idiot was trying to say everything is racist about sumo. Takakeisho versus Wakatakakage. Takakeisho getting low, going for the armbar pull, but he loses the grip, and Wakatakakage gets the grip around the back. So that was very uncharacteristic of Takakeisho. Takakeisho being the guy who goes for straight up pushes to the face and maybe, you know, pulls back and gets a slap on the back, you almost never see him go for an armbar throw like this. And the fact that he never does that means it is now something you need to look out for. Kind of like how you need to constantly look out for the henka, no matter who you are, no matter what division, you always need to be on the lookout for that henka. Now this is something that we know is in play for Takakeisho, this armbar throw that I don't ever remember seeing him do before. I might have seen him do it, I'm just saying I don't remember him doing it. And now this time around, this is an important one because we see right off the Tachi-ai, he gets his usual Tachi-ai. But Wakatakakage, much like Tobizaru, much like the Mongolians on days 1 and 2, gets that big left foot forward, big right foot back, very strong stance. Takakeisho can't push into this stance. This is the 4th time he's seen it. He can't push into this. So now here we see he makes this audible. He has his left arm wrapped around the bicep and his right arm is inside on the chest. This is where he makes the audible. He's going to wrap completely around that arm of Wakatakakage and go for a pull. Again, this is something I don't ever remember seeing him do before. So going for this pull now is trying to pull Wakatakakage off balance, which he mostly almost gets. Like, this is not a very good position for Wakataka. You can kind of see his arm is like up like this and his elbow is bending down that way and he is getting wrenched around this way. But I don't think Takakeisho has a good enough grip around that arm to really finish it off. Like, you can see him, he kind of has the shoulder up into the rib cage, and I feel like if he started leaning into the side here, which he can't really do because his feet are way off. Like, if his foot was being brought around this way, then maybe he would have been able to adjust how this attack goes. But because he leaves his foot back here and is just pivoting, this puts him in a bad spot positionally, because this is where he gets taken advantage of. This throw was a great idea. Honestly, I was surprised by this attempt at a throw because, again, don't usually see him do this. It was a great idea, but he takes too big of a step. He overcorrects himself, and now his foot is up in the air, like right coming down over here. And because he couldn't finish the throw, Wakatakakage, you can see he pulled his arm way out of it, escapes, and then he just hugs him from the side. And that's kind of the risk of doing something new in a live environment. That's why it is kind of scary to pull out those new strategies, because, you know, if it works, then, oh shit, I'm the smartest guy in the room. I can't believe that worked. And if it doesn't work, then it's like, well, time to go back to my old style, you know? And this was something that, in the end, did not work, even though it was a great idea, I think. Takakeisho trying to fight it off, but, I mean, when he gives up the grip around the belt from the behind, like, there's really nothing he can do, especially against someone as strong as Wakatakakage. But still, like, that was a very good attempt from Takakeisho there, and I'm trying to give it as much props as I can without, like, you know, sucking dick or sounding too biased, but that's something great. Like, I want to see more strategies come out that we don't usually see. And of course, you know, you can't do a trick play every day because then they're always going to expect a trick play. But Takakeisho trying something like that in such a risky situation, like, he could be tied for the Yusho race if he wins this match. You would think he's gonna, you know, stick to his guns, stick to what he knows, but he pulls something like that out. That's incredible. That is very respectable, and I like that a lot. The fact that it doesn't work is, you know, it rubs salt in the wound, but that was a very good idea, I think. That was a very good idea for it.
He would have to win the Yusho, yeah.
Now we have to go to day 15. Takakeisho versus Terunofuji in the Musubi no Ichiban on the final day. He was the more powerful and higher ranked Ozeki this tournament, so he has the privilege of fighting the Yokozuna on the final day. And these two have one of the better rivalries of this current age of sumo. Like, this current year of sumo has been fantastic because of these two. Takakeisho lost the last 5 matches against Terunofuji. That does include the playoff from May of 2021. And it has been all Terunofuji since then. But Takakeisho, I mean, we've seen him beat him before. We've seen them go back and forth for playoff U-shows, you know? So we know this is going to be a good match if Terunofuji just doesn't straight up grab the belt, which a lot of people have been adapting, and Terunofuji has not been able to do his own style of sumo as consistently, but the fact that he still wins through it is pretty incredible, honestly. But let me take one more drink of water. Dude, if I ever become a big and famous streamer, I want a water sponsorship. Fuck G Fuel, fuck Monster, fuck Mountain Dew. Give me that Poland Spring sponsorship, because everyone should be drinking water. Anyway, one more bit of self-advertising again. If you are watching on YouTube, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and get your friends to watch this stuff too. And if you're watching on Twitch, thank you for watching here as well. Remember that we will be doing that Ichinojo merch giveaway at the Nagoya Basho in September. Be sure to watch every day on twitch.tv/LeoDickinsonVT. Now, coming into day 15, Terunofuji versus Takakeisho. Terunofuji needs the win to force the playoff with Ichinojo. Takakeisho, well, he can't fight for the U-show anymore, so all he can do is fight for his pride. Takakeisho gets the better push, gets the pull, tries to go for that pull down push up combo, and he does keep getting it over and over again until Terunofuji steps backwards. And this was, it looked like Terunofuji just couldn't handle the offense. Now, we don't have it at a very good angle here. We just get a big flat back of Terunofuji. But for Takakeisho here, we can see he gets this left shoulder inside. He gets the left shoulder and hand inside and is going to use that to push Terunofuji up and away from, you know, that right hand is coming down and trying to get to the belt, which of course nobody wants that to happen. So Terunofuji, being pushed back, tries to grab the arm. After trying to grab the arm, Takakeisho is going to wrench this down to try to pull Terunofuji down. And it works. Terunofuji now down, but he is still on balance. Much like I said in that Ichinojo video, he has his feet underneath him. His center of gravity is above these feet. He is very stable here, but he is not in the best position. He may have the stability, but that doesn't mean he has good position. So now Takakeisho, recognizing this, knows he needs to charge forward yet again and keep doing that pull and push and pull and push until he is too off balance to fight back. So that's exactly what he does. Pops up Terunofuji, goes down. You can see him slap those arms down to, again, bring himself down. He's squatting down like a coil so he can charge back up into that big chest of Terunofuji, which is exactly what he gets. Still stepping to the side to keep himself away from that right hand. We can see him moving slowly this way, shuffling to the side so he can get that angle, going down and up again, down and up for a third time. And it's just consistent, solid attacks head on against the Yokozuna that eventually overpowers him. And this was Takakeisho's most impressive victory of the tournament. This was the best match he had all tournament, and it was, you know, the most important one. Look at that fat fucking stack of cash. Like, god damn. And overall, it was an overall not incredible tournament for Takakeisho, but any tournament you get 11 wins is a fantastic tournament. That's double digits +1. That is, he's still the Ozeki Jun Yusho, fat stacks, and an overall very good tournament for Takakeisho in these 15 days. And I think it goes to show that he is willing to adapt. He is willing to adjust. And after making those small adjustments, he is still a Yusho contender. Like, I believe, if that day 14 against Wakatakakage went any other way and he wins the Yusho over Ichinojo, I wouldn't be mad at all. This was a very solid performance. He is a very smart Rikshi. He has mastered his style to such an extent that even making these small adjustments to it, he still knows how to approach most of these attacks and most of these defenses. I've said it all night. He has been fighting incredibly smart throughout all of his matches. And in this one, he fought hard. He fought very hard. And he knew exactly what he needed to do. It was overall a great performance by Takakeisho. Another Jun Yusho under the belt of this Ozeki. And how many Jun Yusho is that for him now? 7. That is his 7th runner-up, which technically being runner-up and getting a Yusho in the next one is Ozeki promotion, wink wink nudge nudge. Probably not, because it was an 11-4. It's not a 14-1 Jun Yusho that was preceded by a Yusho in itself, so yeah, it is on the table. Maybe if Takakeisho goes 15-0, nah. If anything, and we can speculate about potential Yokozuna pushes for Takakeisho here. He's not in the conversation right now. I don't think he's going to be in the conversation right now. 2023? Possibly 2023. And I think if he does get like another Jun Yusho here, then the Yokozuna decision committee might consider it only if he gets another Yusho in November, which, I mean, he went 8-7 2 tournaments in a row in these past 2 tournaments before this 11-4. So I'm not going to hold my breath for it. But if he goes like 11-4 Jun Yusho, 12-3 Jun Yusho, maybe they'll say, hey, if you get the Yusho, you're in. And if it's if you get a strong Yusho, like if it's a 13-2 or a 14-1 Yusho, like I don't think they would give it to him for a 12-3 or an 11-4. I don't think there's been an 11-4 in like 20 years. An 11-4 Yusho. But I mean, we've seen it almost happen, People were talking about it maybe happening 2 tournaments in a row. We might be due for an 11-4 Yusho, which might just be the world we live in right now. But in terms of like reaching Yokozuna, I want to see him complete the rest of the year. And I want to see him complete the rest of the year with double digits before we start talking about a possible Yokozuna promotion. Even if he just goes like 10-5, I will say that as long as he keeps improving his style and staying healthy, then we can possibly discuss it for next year. But right now, I don't think he's going to be the Yokozuna anytime soon. So that is going to be it for this YouTube recording at the very least. If you were watching this on YouTube, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and go follow all my other social medias, which are going to be in the description down below. And be sure to watch Sumo Saturdays every Saturday at around 10 p.m. Central Time here on twitch.tv/LeoDickinsonVT. And that will end this recording.